Fancy yourself a plant parent? Then this episode of Planted is for you. So Lisa is nuts for plant propagation, which is the art and science of creating plant babies, or more technically speaking, making new plants from a variety of sources like seeds, division, and other plant parts like roots. So you take a lot of stem cuttings in particular. What do you love about it?
I love it because it's so successful, and you can grow so many new plants, so many varieties, and then you get to share all these wonderful plants.
What are the basic supplies that you need to propagate?
I have it very basic. I have a flat of pumice. I always use pumice. I always use a root tone. I have a poker, and I have sharp scissors. My spritzer always. Not a lot of things.
We are in a greenhouse that's full of plants that you have started. Do you remember the first plant that you ever propagated?
I think I do. I think it was at the nursery. We used to grow hundreds of fuchsia baskets and everything, and you'd always have to be pinching them and everything. So all those cuttings, we made more fuchsia starts with and everything. So they're a great and easy plant to propagate. It was successful, yeah.
Well, so now that you've done thousands of plant propagations, what are your favorites for ease and beauty?
Hydrangeas are one of my favorites because it's a perennial. It just takes so well. It roots easy and everything. Stevia has been really fun to do for the kids, friends, family. It's a great annual herb in the garden that tastes like sugar. It tastes delicious and everyone loves it. It's fun to give to people and it propagates great.
Cool. Well, I've never grown stevia, so this will be fun.
It's fun.
Nice. All right. So let's take some cuttings then.
Let's do.
Show us how to do it. Tell us a little bit about it.
I use this season's cutting. I don't do hard cuttings. I do this spring's cutting. So if I were to go in there, I cut a couple of good cuttings and I'm going to take off some bottom leaves. I'll put her in some water. You always want to keep them moist.
Nice.
And our stevia, let's get some cuttings here. And you don't want that lush, too lush. So we're going to go down a little bit and we'll get those in water. And these are going to be our new cuttings.
Super. Tell us about the timing.
The timing is, during their growing period and everything, which is now. So you got on the new growth and then you do the cutting. The cutting will root within 2-3 weeks, and then you'll find that they've rooted, and then you can transplant them.
Perfect. So now that we have our cuttings, what's next?
I will show you. So on the stevia, she's pretty lush on the top. So on the top, I'm going to take her down a bit because too lush.
And where are you cutting to?
I am cutting to it feels a little bit firmer. So you have the new growth was really lush. So you're going down to a little bit sturdier growth, your pattern in here and everything. And it doesn't get down to woody, so you're going to be really good. Just none of that lush stuff up on top and everything. You cut all your big leaves in half, so your plant has less to work with when it's trying to grow all those roots. And you're going to cut into one cavity around the bottom, very little. And you're going to dip into your root tone. And I like to have my pokey stick and poke your hole so that your root tone stays on and get it in your started soil, which is moist. And then you always keep them spritzed. They don't like to dry out. So that is a cutting of stevia. Like I said, you take off your new growth.
And you're cutting back the top stem to a node, right?
I am. And then the bigger leaf too, I'm cutting back so that it's less work for the plant to work on those roots. So the less foliage you have on a cutting, the more work it can do growing a root for you. So taking off just that one cavity.
So you're almost peeling a little bit off.
A little bit. And you don't want to go too deep into her either. Put your root tone on, and I make my nice little hole, get her in there so she has all her root tone on her, tuck her in snug as a bug. And hydrangeas, you're going to take out your middle, okay? Take out your middle because that's your new growth and you don't want that. All of these big leaves on hydrangea is going to be all your leaves. You're going to cut down so that it's less work for your plant to do your cutting, because you want it to grow roots and not keep these leaves alive. You want it to grow roots. So getting it ready, cutting into this one cavity, your root tone, your pokey, and get her in there snug as a bug. And you just keep them spritzed. And when you get your whole flat filled, you bring her to your heating tray. Little bit of heat, little bit of light, a bunch of spritzing.
How important is humidity?
Moisture on them is extremely important. And it's a lot. I wish I had a system that went on at the nursery that was a sprinkling system and everything, but spritzing a lot and everything. The more spritzing you do, little water is better than a lot of water and everything. So spritzing is very important. Yes.
And how important is keeping the pumice moist?
When you first start your whole flat and everything, your flat will be quite moist and everything. As the 2 weeks go on and everything, it actually gets lighter and lighter and everything because it's using your moisture and it's growing its roots and everything. But you don't keep your pumice as wet as when you start and everything, because you're spritzing and it's working really hard to grow roots for you and everything. So it's not very wet, at the very end, like it started with.
Now that we've got all these plant babies, let's talk about rooting and how we know whether they've rooted. And
well, great. This flat I did probably 2-3 weeks ago, and there are 2 different hydrangea starts that I love. And as you can see, like this guy is rooted, so you know that she's ready to transplant, and then she'll be ready to plant in someone's yard by spring. Here, you can have that one.
oh, thank you. I love this.
Yes, she's Nico Blue.
Oh, beautiful. That's a beautiful hydrangea. And this is why we love to propagate plants, right?
Yes.
So that we can share.
Exactly. There's nothing better.
Oh, thank you so much. Can you tell, other than digging it up, if it's rooted?
Yes. When you go up to your flat and everything, if you can go up to her and you can feel her like that, and she's snug as a bug inside there and everything.
You're tugging a little bit, and you feel some resistance?
Yes. And you can actually feel that she is rooted, whereas it's completely different. But you can feel that she's rooted, and it's a wonderful feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. You can feel
Did
it.
you do these cuttings at the same time as you did these?
Yes.
Okay. And these haven't grown any, so that's how you know that they haven't rooted.
Right. Exactly. You see the total difference.
Well, this is wonderful. Thank you for demonstrating. And we appreciate you sharing your expertise about propagating with our viewers. And we want to remind people that every plant is different, and some plants propagate from different methods, and some are easier than others.
They're so different.
Yeah, so make sure you look up your plant and see what methods are best so that you can be successful with the plant that you choose to propagate. Thanks,
Yes.
Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.